All right, you're listening to Sound Opinions. I'm Jim DeRogatis. My partner's Greg Cott. We're on the phone with Paul Westerberg. Paul, how are you?
Good morning.
Thanks for staying up late, Dad. I know this is trouble because you got a little one.
I thought it was 10 a.m. I've been sitting here all day going, God, when are they going to call?
You thought you were unloved, huh?
That actually happened once. Remember that?
Yeah, we did have somebody who
somebody
came
showed
in
up
here.
at 10 a.m. thinking that the show was at 10 a.m. as opposed to 10 p.m. So you're not alone, Paul. You're the second guy to do that.
I'd love to know who that was.
I forget who that was. We got to ask Matt Spiegel. Remember that, Matt? I don't
Was
know.
he in Styx by any chance?
Now, that would make sense. Yeah, we only have you on the show, Paul, because all the Styx guys were occupied tonight.
He knows about the high
thank
quality
you.
of guests we have on the show.
Yeah.
Paul, we were just talking about the Rolling Stones. I don't know if you caught any of that, but ticket prices for their tour, summer tour, or their fall tour went on sale today.
For their wake?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, 40th anniversary tour,
I know.
don't you know?
$50 to $350.
It's the last time around.
That's right.
Yeah, right. How many times have we heard
No,
that?
I think it is this time. They're
Really?
not going to make any more records, and this is it.
Nah, Keith always brings out that, John Lee Hooker, he played until he was 90, you know. Why shouldn't I be?
I hear the inside line is that I don't know.
You got the inside scoop, huh?
Yeah. Who knows? Who knows?
All right.
I've never seen him before. I've sort of I don't want to break my record now and see him now.
Yeah. Well, were you ever a fan, Paul?
Oh, of course.
How did you avoid seeing him?
I couldn't get tickets back when I was a kid,
Yeah.
15, 16, I wanted to go see him, and then when I could, I was, too cool to admit that I wanted to go see him.
Unless they, asked you to open or something, and then it would have been great.
Yeah, and then by then, we were sort of box office poison, and
Right.
I don't know.
Well, we're still high from this incredible in-store that you did last week. What an amazing show.
That was kind of fun, wasn't it?
It sure was.
That was the last one of the tour, quote unquote, right? The one in Chicago.
Yeah, the last one of that leg. I mean, there was a few stragglers after that I conveniently sort of omitted.
So you just decided you wanted to go home, right?
I was too close to Minnie to go down south. Hell, I didn't want to get searched another 3 hours to go to Texas.
Yeah, I heard you had a hard time getting to New York, right?
Yeah, they got my number for some reason. I get the triple search every time. So
That really is annoying. The whole take off your shoes trip is really troublesome.
I know it's a little scary, but what can you do?
Yeah, and they take one look at Paul Westerberg and they go, yeah,
That's the guy.
we're going to get this guy. Now, Paul, it was a great show in Chicago. 18 songs or so. The fans loved it. Impromptu stuff. At the same time, very eventful up and down tour for you. I mean, I heard a few days before there was an incident where you got heckled and you ran off the stage or something like that and slapped some guy. What was the deal with that? I mean, a lot of people are talking about that. Explain to us what happened on those earlier dates. It's all choked up.
Maybe swallow my cigar.
It seemed like the perfectly Westerberg thing to do.
Oh,
He really did swallow his cigar.
I know.
crack.
We killed Paul Westerberg.
Yeah. We've done that before.
Yeah, put on a song. We got dead air.
All right. You don't want to go there?
No.
All right. Forget about that guy. There was a great line in this you had in Virgin, though. You said they've hired security to protect you. To protect people instead of not you. Protect you from me.
Yeah, I don't know what. Someone tried to kidnap me in New York, but I don't think that was a real take me for a ride with the fishies. But they started to get scared, and suddenly a lot of cops were hanging around and stuff.
That always enhances the atmosphere of the show.
Oh yeah.
You were really flying from the seat of your pants, right? You didn't have a set list. People were shouting out songs. You were giving. There was a great moment in Chicago. A couple apparently was their wedding song, and they asked for Within Your Reach, and you jumped up on the book table. I'm wondering whose books you crushed, and did Virgin charge you for them? Or you jumped up on a table full of books and you gave it to them right in their face without the mic.
Well, somebody was holding the lyrics, so I was half-price books, so I didn't step on any hardcovers. And yeah, I'm game for a go. I mean, I that's the problem with having such a back catalog. It's like, hell, I don't remember a fifth of them, and it's like you never know what people are going to want to hear, and every night they shout out 50 tunes that you can't remember.
Yeah, yeah.
And what's amazing to me is they want to hear the song, and then some kid pulls out the lyric. Yeah, like a computer printout of his lyric.
Yeah, I know. It's like, I mean, it's the way to go. I mean, if I'm going to continue this, which I think I may, an actual, like, go on a tour with maybe another cat or something, just everybody bring the words and step right up and someone shout out the chords and we got it made.
Yeah, there you go. Well, then we're one step away from not even needing you.
Well,
that's
I mean, what I felt about 4 years ago.
If somebody brings a guitar, then what do we need Paul Westerberg for?
Well, who are we going to laugh at then?
Well, there you go. You were very entertaining. You were in fine form. It seemed like you were in a good mood and enjoying yourself.
I was. Both of those.
That's great.
Well, does this mean we can expect more of Paul Westerberg on the road this year sometime, or?
Yeah, I would think. I mean, the longer I sit home, I haven't relaxed yet. I've been home for about 4 days, and so I still got my suitcase laying open, ready to hop in it and go. So, kind of waiting for the next word, but. I didn't know the Stones were going to tour so soon.
Yeah, you don't want to compete, right?
Well, I thought it was going to be like next year.
Yeah, well, September. There's enough time for you to get out there.
Well, there's not enough time to get the rest of the band together.
Oh, there you go. If you go out, are you going to go with Grandpa Bo? Who did you play with on Letterman?
That was Michael Bland on drums, Prince's drummer, and
what an amazing guy.
Yeah, he's he's great.
And you've toured with him before too.
Yeah, he's there for me. He like tells me what I don't know as far as the music. And then his pal Jimmy, who I just sort of met in the elevator. He was fine. He was good. Yeah, it looked interesting.
Would you take those guys out with you, or would you
No.
do another solo? So are you thinking about another solo tour? Because it seemed like it went over really well.
I'm kind of getting that vibe from as many people who said, when are you coming back with a band, as to the reaction of like sort of the sing along with Mitch thing. I may explore more of the solo thing. I mean, hell, it's just too hard to put a band together. I used to be in a great band, and to put together a good band seems sort of redundant. So,
Why not do it alone? And then plus it's easier to travel, and you don't have to share the money.
Yeah.
All right.
But if it's the Stones, I might have to whip out my big old band.
There you go. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, but we can't get Tommy away from Guns N' Roses.
We can't, huh?
Well, you said that's where I got it. Is you said you can't do it. Or are you working on this, huh?
Why work, schmirk?
You want us to put a call out to WXRT? We'll put a word. It's like, come on, man, what are you doing?
No, we've already sent several apologies now. I mean, it's like,
oh, jeez.
No, there's, Tommy and I talked, but I don't know really what's going on in his mind, and I know that, I mean, him being basically a performer, he's itching to get out and play, so he's kind of going crazy.
He got with the wrong guy.
Yeah. I know he told me he was gonna make a record on his own, but I think he's there for a while.
Yeah, that's too bad. That's too
sitting
bad.
around waiting for Axl to call him. All right, we got to take a break. If you want to call, we can put you. We just learned this. We finally have an upgrade in the phone system when you can get on the phone and ask Paul a question. We've got a bunch of questions that people emailed in as well, Paul. The number is 773-777-8881. We want you to set up a song or two from stereo. We really want to play some of these tunes and have you talk about them, because we know the old stuff.
Okay.
All right.
So we'll be right back on XRT's Sound Opinions. Welcome back to Sound Opinions. I'm Jim DeRogatis of the Sun-Times.
Greg Cott of the Tribune. We're on the phone with Paul Westerberg. New record out. You're hearing some cuts from it.
2 days till tomorrow is that one. XRT's playing that, which is cool.
Yeah, thank you. That's a good one.
They got a long history with you here at XRT, Paul. The Replacements broke up on stage at one of the XRT Grant Park concerts, July 4th, 1991.
Yes, so I've been told.
Another one of those things that they say you were there.
They still talk about the show.
We did it in grand style. We let the faceless roadies, take our place one by one and went our separate ways and didn't speak for years.
How are you going to top that when Paul Westerberg breaks up?
All right, we got a call from Bob, who's in his car. He says he's the guy who handed you the lyrics. Bob, are you there? Welcome to Sound Opinions.
I'm here.
Hey, Bob, are you still on there, Paul?
Yeah, I am.
Yes.
My God, something at XRT finally
Technology,
worked.
ladies and gentlemen.
High tech. All right, Bob, what's your story, man?
Well, when I was at work, I went to the in-store at Virgin, and when I was at work that day, I'd been reading all the reports of the shows, and I realized that I could be Johnny on the spot if I had some lyrics for some songs that either I liked or that Paul was having trouble with. So one of the songs I did print up was First Glimmer. And then before that, because I knew that was one he was having trouble with, but as I was going through all the solo and replacements albums, I thought, Within Your Reach, love the song, be great solo. And I think the replacement gods were smiling on us all when the people shouted out the request for Within Your Reach, and as luck would have it, the table that Paul stood on was right in front of
there you go.
me and my brother.
And Mark Guarino, who is actually our critical peer at the Daily Herald, wound up being the music stand. He's the guy who was holding the lyrics up.
Yeah, so I handed it over, and like I said, as luck would have it, we got a great in-our-face struggling of Paul trying to read my lyrics, and the one thing I was kicking myself with was that, damn it, why didn't I blow the lyrics up? He can't even see them. They're
there
so
you go.
Small.
There you
I
go.
know if he bifocals by now.
Well,
Cue
we need-
cards.
Can I get in one quick question?
Sure, please do.
My request of Paul.
Yes.
And I had this brainstorm, I think Friday night or Saturday, as I was running to the tape of the show from the in-store that my brother, of course, taped like we do all our shows that we go to.
Mm-hmm.
But my thought was when Paul decides to get out there with the band, that he should have Grandpa Boy open. He can come out and crank through 45 minutes worth of the new album and a few other ditties, take a break, and then give us full blown out solo Paul full of tons of replacements and great other stuff.
Well, that's one of the options is like, sort of split it up, half with band and half without, and we're thinking about doing that, or one night with the band and one night without too.
Yeah.
But
What if you did that Chuck Berry thing, Paul, where you just pick up a band in every town?
Oh my God.
that's been suggested, and it's like some of the guys that I've actually tried and rehearsed with, seemingly knowing my stuff, it's kind of a hard thing to do. I'd be really mortified to use sort of just complete strangers.
Yeah.
I mean, I could do it with the drummer. The bass player would be lost.
Yeah.
Because I don't play. I play sort of an open tuning and stuff, so you can't look at my hands and find out where I'm going. And that was the beauty of Stinson, is his ear, he knew where to go.
Yeah, that sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I told this story when I interviewed you for the paper a couple of weeks ago. I'll never forget the first time I saw the Replacements. You guys came to New York. I think it was Sorry Ma before Let It Be was out, and you played Maxwell's, and nobody really knew who you were, just this punk band from Minneapolis. And these skinheads were there, and they were taunting you guys through the whole show. And at some point, one by one, the rest of the band filed off stage, and you were the only one left there. And you were like, okay, come on, I'm going to see what you guys got now. And you brought them up on stage, and you got behind Chris's drums, and you wound up playing Louie Louie for half an hour. And it was amazing, and it blew my mind. I literally went to the show because I went to whatever was happening at Maxwell's at that point, and I had no idea who you were, and it was just like, wow, this is amazing. I've never seen anything like this. And so, just go back to that. That would work.
It did, it was sort of the basis of what we were all about. It was like, if, we can't whip us, then join us.
It was punk rock democracy in action, It's you can do this.
Yep.
Get up here and do this.
We want to thank Bob for the call and for the lyric sheet. Let's go.
Thank you, Bob. Yeah, that was a good move, man.
Let's go to Dan on line 2. Dan, you're on Sound Opinions with Paul Westerberg.
Oh, great, man. I just wanted to say first off that Let It Be, Tim, most fabulous records I've ever listened to. The Replacements basically were my entire college years up until now, and I love the new record too. I wanted to ask that when All or Nothing came out, there was talk that Peter Jesperson was putting together a set of, or a collection of the early Twin Tone stuff, like Time Is Killing Us and If Only You Were Lonely. Do you know if that stuff will ever see the light of day?
It may be at the bottom of the river.
Is that like down in the Mississippi? That story is all true, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know exactly what we threw in, but we definitely threw 4 tapes in. A couple of them were ours, but what was that first track I never even heard of that first one.
Time Is Killing Us?
Time Is Killing Us.
It's a really good song. It's up on Napster and all that.
Yeah, see, that's like, the one take, probably Sex with a Goat. Was that on there too?
Yeah. Don't Get Married.
Yeah. That's all stuff that I entrusted to Peter that sort of like never should have seen the light of day, but I can't be, harbor any ill feelings toward that because he trusted someone else to like not make a copy. But no, I'm not going to be part of any helping put together that crap.
Yeah, but Paul, what's the status of the real Twin Tone albums? I mean, Let It Be, it is kind of hard to find still, and it shouldn't be. I mean, it's a classic.
Yeah, I think as soon as I find the proper lawyers and crush them, like a grape, you'll be able to find the records.
Now people have this idealized vision of Twin Tone.
Well, I was going to say, Paul,
really?
You sound like a man who has not gotten a royalty from Twin Tone. Is that true?
Well, it's like
it all went into Paul Stark's fish tank, didn't it, Paul?
I just wonder how many it's sold to date compared to like I don't know how much money I've ever gotten from them. All I know is the last lawyer I hired, he said the contract that we never signed was worse than James Brown's first contract.
Oh, man.
So, and we never signed the dang thing, so I don't know quite where we stand.
Wow.
That's got to be painful to have this part of your history that so many people, respect and love.
Yeah, I don't mind the people listening to it and it getting to them. It's just that sort of strangers collecting money that I've never even met or dealt with or signed a deal with are collecting the dough.
And people wonder why the record industry sucks. I mean, Westerberg sounds like John Fogerty here. Same relationship with fantasy records.
It's an important point to underscore because people have this mythologized view of those indie labels in the 80s, and the same stories exist about Homestead when you hear Sonic Youth talk about their early records.
Sure.
And it wasn't an ideal time.
Mm-hmm.
And then they come back to you and they say, well, why have you taken 20 years to bring this up? And it's like, well, we were having fun. I was a kid. we weren't worried about the money. We were worried about the next town and the next pretty girl,
Well, and you don't know whether you're selling like 1,000 records, and then suddenly, you just crossed America, in a limited fashion on these in-stores, and you just met 10,000 people who heard that record, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, gee, they all bought that record. How come I never saw a dime?
Well,
I know that feeling. Let's play a song, Paul. What do you want to play from Stereo or Mono?
I want to hear "Kick in the Stall" from Mono.
Kick in the Stall, cool. What's the tale behind the tune? Because and I got to preface this by reading your liner note on the Mono. I called it one of the best pieces of rock writing I've read this year. This is great. This is what you wrote. This is a rock and roll poorly recorded, played in a hurry, with sweaty hands and unsure reason. How it sounds, what it says, who played what is irrelevant. It feels right. This is my blood. Man, I haven't read any rock writing that good.
Well,
aside from Greg and I.
That epitomizes this song because I just turned on not a drum machine, just a shaker, and then recorded a guitar and a live vocal and improvised the whole thing and one take and then added a bass, and that was it.
That's great.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, let's hear it. Paul Westerberg's new record, Mono, Kick in the Stall on XRT Sound Opinions.
Kick in the Stall. Paul Westerberg from the new record, Stereo, on Vagrant. Damn, that's great stuff. We're talking to Paul Westerberg on XRT Sound Opinions. Thanks for being here, Paul. This is such a treat.
Yeah, thank you. That's waiting on a friend if I ever heard it.
Shh, don't tell them.
We're in a Stones mode here.
It doesn't matter, though. It's like now I know where he took his.
There you go.
Oh, there you go. Great sounding record, too. And it's interesting, Paul, that you pretty much did this record almost entirely yourself, self-produced, self-written, self-played, alone in your home for the most part. First time you've ever really done that, I guess.
Yeah.
And I don't know, is it a coincidence or not that this record just seems to be being
My
as
bad.
well received as ever? It's certainly being received better than anything you've put out since The Replacements, I think. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, every single Replacements one you can go back to, there was a time that all the songs sounded just like that, because that was the first take, and that was the first one when we didn't know it. And then they bring in these guys called producers, and they think that, we do it 5 more times and it gets better. And that would be the thinking with a professional artist, but when you're sort of working with Jerry Lee Lewis types, it's, first time is the best time always.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I love, we got to tell people who there might be a lot of XRT listeners who don't know what Vagrant Records is. But, I mean, essentially, you have this huge upstart indie label, which has got this reputation of being the cornerstone of, and they hate this phrase, but that's what it is, of emo, which is this ultra emotional kind of hardcore punk music, and except that there's very little punk in a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
And if I had a dime for every one of these bands I've interviewed that was going on and on about what your music meant to them, I mean, it's real interesting because you're on with all these this label with all these 20-year-olds who discovered Let It Be and discovered Tim and were blown away by it and are trying to write songs that are heartfelt in that same way.
Yeah. Don't know where to tell you, because, where I arrived from it was probably listening to Jackson Browne and Joni Mitchell, and then on the other hand, listening to the Rolling Stones and Canned Heat.
And trying to find what they had in common.
Exactly, and that's where I came up with this jive. So for them to take me as the emotional factor, it seems like not all of them, but the majority of them are missing that element of grit or swing or swagger that we used to call rock and roll.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So whatever you just called it, it definitely is pop music more than it's rock and roll.
Well, it's been easy times, Paul. They grew up in the Clinton years, right? I mean, one of my theories is that the reason the Minutemen and you guys and Husker Du, I mean, that was blood music. There's this war going on, and Reagan was trying to stamp out. The homeless were being cast out into the street, and the poor were poorer than they ever were, and there was this new thing called AIDS, which suddenly was given to us, and we couldn't even enjoy all the sex and drugs that our, older brothers and parents in some cases had, because, the 60s were over and dead, and we hated that whole cliche. It was a miserable time in the 80s.
Speak for yourself.
Well, you were the antidote. You guys were one of the antidotes.
We indulged.
Well, yeah.
They were rock and rollers.
But you
I have a different theory. I think that what you're hearing now are the sons and daughters of the hippies. And it's the punk children that will come and make some very nice folk music.
Okay.
I mean, our parents were raised in, my parents are pretty old, but it was swing music and, Sinatra and all that shit.
Yeah.
And, we didn't, my sisters listened to Hendrix and the Beatles and everything, but I can't imagine growing up and my dad listening to Boston,
Yeah. Well, you turned into Billy Corgan. That's what
Well, God love him.
Paul, you mentioned working with those producers and things like that, and also Stinson's input into your music. Now you're pretty much on your own. One of the things that we talk about a lot in dealing with careers is, who's the guy that can tell you, hey, Paul, that song sucks, or Paul, no, don't do that. Just a sort of a BS detector. Who plays that role in your life now, if anyone?
No one. I kind of go by of instinct of if it's too difficult a song to play, then I don't play it, and I just go with the simplest, quickest, easiest ones generally hit people immediately. And that in itself is a cliche, but it's like the more you labor on a song and the more you think it's precious and great and says something, it's the ones that come quick are the ones that people like, and those are the ones you remember how to play.
Mm-hmm. What do you miss about the Stinsons and Chris Mars?
Our humor. We were like, we were one in the same. We would do anything for a laugh at our own expense, health, career, whatever. We never hurt anyone. That was the misconception. We were dangerous guys. We were just dangerous guys to be around because we were a bad influence. But we loved a good laugh more than anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I remember a show that Bob played at CBGB's. It might have been the first one where you guys met Alex Chilton, where he wore tinfoil. And that's all that he wore. He wrapped himself in tinfoil, and it didn't quite stay put. And so there was a lot of him hanging out.
Bobby and Bob Stinson.
Bob Stinson,
the late Bob Stinson.
Yeah, Bob. Bob, actually had a big influence from Captain Sensible.
Yeah,
the Damned.
Pre-Damned, you'll notice a lot of picture Bob in flares and tennies, and then the captain got a hold of him, and out came the dresses and all the rigmarole.
Did he meet him or just see a few Damned shows?
No, we played with the Damned. We did a little mini tour.
Oh, that's cool.
Maybe Chicago. It was like Madison, Milwaukee, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But no, we were in awe of them and shit. So it was great.
Let's put Paul in another call here. Let's go to Renee on line 1. Renee, you're on Sound Opinions with Paul Westerberg.
Hello?
Hey, Renee.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, Renee.
First of all, I just want to tell you that I love your new stuff. I was at the Virgin store last week, and your performance was amazing.
Thank you. Thank you for the flowers.
Thank you for the flowers. No, thank you for the signature. What I wanted to ask you was, I was waiting for you to sign all this stuff, and when I got up to the desk, I told you looked pretty tired, and you said no as you were writing Penelope instead of Paul on my CD. Oh no, I'm not that tired. But given that there are so many people that you had to do that with, and you were so cool about it and spent time with all these people, how was that for you?
I enjoyed it. For every 1 out of 10 sort of lunkheads, there was a couple people that brought me to tears, and I was given things where your long lost buddy from California passed away, and next, and then the next person's there, and I have to choke that down and smile, and it's emotionally draining. It didn't seem to make sense to me to in this circumstance to I'll sign for an hour and then that's it. It's not like it's a performance and I'm at the bus. That's a little different, but I figured I'd been away for 3 or 4 or more years, and hell, I didn't have anywhere to go.
How long did you wind up sitting there, Paul?
Well, till the last dog was hung, 11 o'clock, something like that.
Whoa, that late.
Wow. And the in-store started at 6 or 6:30. Hey, Paul, we did get a bunch of emails from people who were, now Vagrant had told Greg Cott and I, the Tribune and the Sun-Times, and WXRT that it was a free in-store. And then Virgin, which is this kind of corporate place,
Right.
I mean, it's not the kind of place I'd buy records. I mean, I'd go to Orfolk if I was in Minneapolis. They made people buy the record on Tuesday, and then they got a coupon to get into the show. And then people who showed up, some of whom had already bought your record, but not at Virgin, had to buy it again to get in.
Oh, is that true?
Yeah, they did this thing where, and then they yelled at Greg and I. I got an email from the CEO of Virgin, the head of the company, saying, why did you say it was wrong of Virgin to do this? I'm like, well, no, it was wrong of Virgin not to advertise that policy to people.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of that. I knew that they had some sort of voucher thing just in the event that too many people showed up, and had you bought the record 2 days previous, you'd be insured to get in. But I didn't know they made you buy damn thing twice.
Yeah, they turned. Yeah, that was your choice. Even if you own the record already, you could buy it again and get in, or you had to go away. And there are some people turned away.
I talked to a few people who actually did buy the record a second time just because they did want to see the show. And
but it is called stereo.
to them,
I remember signing people's little tags and not the record, though.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it wasn't the case. I don't know. If you say so, I believe you.
Yeah.
No, it was a miscommunication. It seemed like between the store and the label. Anyway,
we got another phone call for Paul before we go. No, we don't. Okay, let's take one of these emails. This is a good one, Paul. They wrote in and said, I remember a much talked about movie video that was put together to be released in place of an actual tour for suicaine gratification.
Yeah.
Whatever became of that?
They were actually showing that the night in San Francisco where
we had what we didn't want to talk about. Yeah.
Where I left the stage to confront a fan. And that was part of the thing that sort of miffed me, because it was like, okay, they spent this money to make this documentary, and then they sat on it, and they wouldn't give it to me when they let me out of my contract. They wanted to sell it to me, and I said, well, hell, I don't want to buy the thing, but it's like, it's been bootlegged enough. But I just thought, like, hey, it's very distracting to be playing and then seeing myself on the telephone in the hotel room up on the monitor.
Yeah.
But, hey, if you can get a copy of it, go ahead. I mean, it's like I know lots of people who've got bootleg copies. I myself have never seen it, and, frankly, don't care to. Just because I don't like looking at pictures of myself or any of that stuff. Kind of kooky that way, but.
And it doesn't seem like you wanna, I want to bring this up too, Paul. Just in terms of looking back, it seems like your attitude towards the old replacement stuff is, you're not really looking back at that stuff and saying this is this amazing legacy. I mean, do you feel like people confront you with the replacement's legacy too much, and that you wish that you would just be taken on your own terms now, as opposed to, I used to be in this great band, the Replacements, and people keep wanting to hear those songs, and also talking about, like, when's the box set going to come out? Are we ever going to see these records remastered? Things like that. I mean, how do you feel about those old records?
I don't feel as distanced from them as one may think, because the way I look at it is like the Replacements kind of dissolved around me. I never actually quit the group, and I just chose to carry on without the name. And I wrote the songs, so I mean, Aching to Be and Alex Chilton are as dear to me as Baby Learns to Crawl or Let the Bad Times Roll. It's like, to me, they're just another song that I wrote. I played them with my buddies back then, and this time around I played them with my make-believe buddies, but it's hard for me to differentiate from what I wrote and what era. To me, they're all dear, sort of.
Yeah, they're all your children. Well, and there were moments at that in-store where it was, there was a palpable emotion. You could feel, people suddenly joining you on choruses, singing along, and this kind of wave of emotion would just sweep through the whole room, which is, that can't get old.
No, I mean, especially when you take a few years off like I did, and I knew it was time to stop, because they were booking me in the wrong venues. They were sticking me on big package tours with, 10 new bands, and I was sort of coming off as like, the old fart that no one heard of.
Well, they were really trying to turn you into Randy Newman, weren't they?
Randy Newman or what? It's just that I feel like I want to go play for my fans, or I want to make a lot of money. It's like nothing in between.
You don't seem to have ever succeeded at the latter, though.
No.
I'll go for the fans. Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, Paul.
All right.
We want to thank you for being on Sound Opinions, Paul. It was a real pleasure, and we want to go out with a song. Your choice again.
You just mentioned Aching to Be. You want to do that, or you want to do another one from stereo?
I want Let the Bad Times Roll, because I think that's the song on the record of all of them.
All right.
Why is that? Why do you feel closest to that song? You were talking about when I interviewed you.
It's the one that everyone I trust everyone I meet, every musician. I met a DJ out in Seattle that I hadn't seen in 20 years. He sort of gave me my start with Peter, and immediately his first thing out of his mouth was, that's your new song, right? And it's like, yeah, I mean, like, it's my new Aching to Be, it's my new whatever, it's the one I'll play in 10 years. So that's how I feel about it.
Well, it's a treasure trove of tunes. I mean, 22 tunes on this record, and it's a damn good one, Paul.
Yeah, there's not much fat on this one. It's pretty late. It's short too. That's the other thing. It's not like it's 100 minutes long.
Well, that's a cool device, dividing it up into 2 discs that which are about like 40 minutes or less each.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a one sit down kind of listen, as opposed to because I dislike these records where you get 80 minutes of music on the CD.
Too long.
I know. I had to fight with the guys at Vagrant, and that was the beauty of having a independent label, because a major wouldn't go for that, and to split them up like that, and it's made things confusing. But I mean, thus far we've still kept the price to a single album. It's like as soon as a distributor gets wise, then suddenly the thing's going to shoot up to $25. But right now you get 2 records for the price of 1.
Yeah. It's a deal from Paul Westerberg.
Buy it
As
now,
always,
hurry up.
caring about the fans. Buy it so he can buy a new cigar.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Paul. It's been a real treat. It's an honor to have you on.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks,
This
Paul.
is Let the Bad Times Roll by Paul Westerberg on XRT Sound Opinions.
Well, the good times high